Welcome all wrists, and welcome to another comparison. Here we have the Baltic Aquascaphe and the Longines Hydroconquest in 39mm, and here are the dimensions. The Aquascaphe has a case diameter of 39mm, lug to lug of 47mm, a lug width of 20mm, and a thickness of 12mm, with 200 meters of water resistance. The Longines Hydroconquest has a case diameter of 39mm, lug to lug of 47.8mm, a lug width of 19mm, and a thickness of 12.2mm with 300 meters of water resistance. Both watches come from the dive watch category, sharing many similarities while illustrating many differences. They both feature blue bezels and blue dials, but their compositions and executions are done differently and take influence from different time periods. Taking a look at the dials, we can see stark differences in the shades of blue. The Aquascaphe leans towards darker tones, while the Hydroconquest highlights lighter blues. They both showcase sunburst effects, and this helps to show off that color under light and gives each watch an extra element of light play. However, the Aquascaphe will have a greater contrast when transitioning from low light to bright light, demonstrating a greater spectrum of blue, whereas the Hydroconquest has an easier time maintaining a vibrant color. The Aquascaphe bears a more traditional dial layout with printed loomed hour markers and a symmetrical aesthetic via the absence of a date window, incorporating depth through sandwich triangle markers. On the other hand, the Hydroconquest puts a twist on the dive watch layout. It demonstrates depth with applied indices filled with loom and includes 12, 6 and 9 numerals along with the familiar circle hour markers, as well as a date function. To me, the dials of these watches truly illustrate their intention. The Aquascaphe exudes vintage influence, while the Hydroconquest attempts to conquer the modern day diver. The handset on both watches differ and consolidate their designs. The Aquascaphe has a simplistic approach and purposefully sticks to a formula that doesn't try to do too much. It consists of matching hour and minute hands, only separate by length, with a sleek lollipop seconds hand, keeping it simple and to the point. The Hydroconquest carries 3 separate hands: a diamond-shaped hour hand, shallow pointed minute hand, and a lollipop seconds hand. I like seeing different handsets on dive watches, as these varying hand designs give a touch of character and ultimately increase legibility by enabling quick recognition of time. Whereas hands that are quite similar, although they look nice and cohesive, it can be a bit more difficult to discern the time. Both dials tie in well with their respective bezels. They both continue the blue theme, but they have some differences. The Aquascaphe strays away from its vintage influence just a tad with its sapphire bezel, but quickly reels itself in with color match loom and a classic slim construction. The sapphire is an interesting choice, and it's one I'm a huge fan of. It gives the watch a gem-like appearance and provides peace of mind when considering wear and tear. It's influenced by watches of old, but it's made for the modern day. The Hydroconquest features a ceramic bezel, a material more commonly found on modern dive watches, and its markings are incredibly crisp and sharp. Compared to the slim bezel on the Aquascaphe, the Hydroconquest bezel allows for greater real estate, providing the opportunity for larger numerals and timing indicators, making it extremely legible and seeks to serve its function as a tool-driven dive watch. Now let's take a moment to appreciate the bezel action on both watches. First, we'll do the Aquascaphe. Now, the Hydroconquest. In terms of bezel action, both watches have 120 click bezels. However, the Aquascaphe is much more enjoyable to operate. It's firmer and feels well put together with very little play. Whereas the Hydroconquest, it feels a little hollow and light and is evident from the sounds of its clicks, making it feel a little clumsy in comparison and flimsy. Both watches feature fully brushed cases. The Hydroconquest has vertical brushing on the top of its broad lugs, while the Aquascaphe has circular brushing on its slim, drilled lugs, fitting well with its vintage aesthetic. Perhaps the most obvious difference is the absence of crown guards on the Aquascaphe versus the exaggerated crown guards on the Hydroconquest. Now, the Aquascaphe, it doesn't really need crown guards, and its case works well with its overall construction. On the Hydroconquest, the crown guards are a source of identity. They are iconic to the watch and helps to set itself apart from your typical dive watch build. Not only that, they're there to serve a purpose, much like the rest of the watch. Both watches also have engraved or etched case backs. So let's take a look. So the Hydroconquest features a more detailed and deeply carved design, something I really appreciate, versus the more lighter engraved or etched case back on the Aquascaphe there. So in terms of detail and which one's more well done, I much prefer the Longines. Transitioning to the bracelet, we find a commonly found 3-link oyster style bracelet on the Longines with polished center links and brushed flanks. The Aquascaphe has a 7-link beads of rice construction, also with polished centers and brushed flanks. When looking at the flow from case to bracelet, the Aquascaphe comes out ahead. Its design is cohesive and again continues the vintage influence. The Hydroconquest, on the other hand, has a bracelet that isn't quite as thought out. The sides are polished and that it just contrasts that of the brushed case, and the polished center links, they feel out of place on a watch that emphasizes its utility by the feature-packed watch head. Now, I can understand why they opted for polished center links. It makes the watch a little more flashy, an attempt to make it fit into any situation, but a fully brushed bracelet would have felt more at home. The Hydroconquest does, however, have a more suitable clasp. It's a locking fold over clasp with a diver's extension, and you get 3 points of micro adjustment. The Aquascaphe clasp, it's quite bare in comparison. It's a simple fold over clasp. You get heaps of micro adjustment, more than you would ever need. But no other features. And for a dive watch, you'd want to at least see some sort of diver's extension, like that on the Hydroconquest. In terms of wearability, both watches are comfortable on the wrist, with the Baltic Aquascaphe coming ahead with its beads of rice bracelet, feeling similar to that of a Rolex Jubilee. The dimensions on both watches will please a majority of wrists, making them great options for just about anyone. Now, I don't feel any hot spots when wearing either watch, and both are truly a pleasure to wear. Now I'll just pop the Baltic on the right and the Longines on the left. So taking a look again. Now both watches have workhorse movements, but the Hydroconquest boasts greater power reserve at 72 hours compared to Baltic's 42. And the Hydroconquest also has a superior accuracy rating. So something to keep in mind. The Baltic Aquascaphe and the Longines Hydroconquest are two great dive watches. One speaks to an era of the past, and the other thrives in a modern age. In the landscape of dive watches, it's hard to find something that stands out. Both of these timepieces stay true to their intentions and provide great value to those looking for a reliable watch. They're similar in some aspects, but different in many ways. Even though they're both dive watches, they can both coexist in a single collection, complementing each other and highlighting the best of both worlds. Let me know what you think about the watches in the comments, and if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Thank you for checking out the video, and consider subscribing for more watch content. I'll see you in the next one.